Hello everyone, we are Sophie Chen and Anna Shek from Marymount Secondary School. Today we are thrilled to present Eco-pulse, a closed food waste and aquaponics ecosystem. To understand why we built Eco-pulse, we have to look at the massive environmental challenges hitting Hong Kong right now. According to the Environment and Ecology Bureau's 2024 data, our city's carbon emissions come from three main sources: electricity generation, transport, and waste management. In terms of food waste, in 2022, an average of 3,030 tons of food waste are disposed of in landfills every day, making up 30% of all waste we generate. Landfill food waste produces methane, a greenhouse gas 21 times stronger than carbon dioxide. It is estimated that food loss and waste contributed to 8% of the greenhouse gas emissions globally. Although the food waste recycling rate in Hong Kong has increased from 2% in 2018 to 6% in 2022, it still remains dismally low. The rate of pollution is still high, resulting in excessive carbon emissions. At the same time, our water ecosystem faces another silent threat: excessive algae growth. Fertilizer, sewage from people and animals, runoff from cities and industrial buildings floods our water with high nutrient levels such as nitrogen and phosphorus. Excessive nitrogen and phosphorus causes an overgrowth of algae in a short period of time. The overgrowth of algae consumes oxygen and blocks sunlight from underwater plants. When the algae eventually die, the oxygen in the water is consumed. The lack of oxygen makes it impossible for aquatic life to survive. This is exactly why we created Eco-pulse. Our goal is to serve as the pulse of our planet and ensure that low-carbon lifestyles can make Hong Kong a better place with carbon neutrality. We also strive for sustainable development, as every one of us in society takes part in this journey of carbon neutrality through Eco-pulse. The target of Eco-pulse is to reduce carbon emissions from food waste and electricity generation from fossil fuels. Despite having food waste bins placed in society, the recycling rate of food waste is still low. Most food waste is thrown directly into landfills, causing excessive carbon emissions. In Eco-pulse, we will make upcycling more rewarding and visual. We want to encourage more residents to recycle and upcycle their food waste to help build a better future for our city. Also, electricity generation remains the main source of carbon emissions. We strive to reduce the carbon emissions from electricity generation from fossil fuels by promoting alternative renewable energy. In Eco-pulse, the renewable energy is biofuel, which is produced by the crops grown through our setup. Eco-pulse is a decentralized ecosystem designed for Hong Kong homesteads. We address the problems of excessive carbon emissions of food waste, insufficient food waste recycling, and excessive algae growth in fish farming ponds. Therefore, we paired a biological aquaponics circuit with a nutrient optimizer, also with the present food waste recycling methods. As you can see from the figure, at the base we have a fish pond. The fish waste and uneaten food turns into ammonia, which is pumped up to the top crop level. The crops absorb these nutrients, cleaning the water before it naturally cycles back down to the fish pond. Through the Eco-pulse framework, we achieved two sustainable development goals. Firstly, it is the 12th Sustainable Development Goal, responsible consumption and production. Despite the efforts made in food waste recycling in Hong Kong, most food waste ends up in landfills to rot. Eco-pulse uses a biological cascade of turning food waste into fish feeds by feeding the waste to insects, then using the fish waste as crop fertilizer. This keeps nutrients at their highest possible levels without much inclusion of chemicals. Secondly, it is the 13th Sustainable Development Goal, climate action. Eco-pulse strives to convert food waste into alternative and clean energy for Hong Kong in the form of biofuel. By reducing the carbon emissions from landfills and electricity generation by fossil fuels, we strive to protect our environment by reducing carbon emissions and relieving global warming, starting from our community and grassroots. Now, let's take a closer look at the actual step-by-step biological loop that powers Eco-pulse. It begins at the accumulation of domestic food waste. The waste is deposited into recycling bins and brought to a decentralized ecosystem center. From there, the organic waste is fed to vermicomposting earthworms. These earthworms are then used as organic fish feed. The fish digest the fish feed and egest faeces. A pump moves the nutrient-rich faeces to crop level. The faeces act as fertilizers for the crops, and these crops are sold as products in markets for photosynthesis and used as fuel crops for biofuel production.
So for step 1, we have the collection of food waste. So residents deposit their daily food waste, and we make use of the present food recycling bins placed in house, estates, and in public, so we collect them into a centralized center. Step 2 is the upcycling of food waste into fish feeds. Earthworms consume these domestic food waste and turn them into organic and nutritious proteins. The earthworms are directly fed to the farming fish as fish feeds. So why earthworms, you may ask? Earthworms are vermicomposting creatures. Earthworms digest organic waste internally, and composting earthworms can process up to half their body weight in food waste every single day. An ideal type of earthworm used in this process would be red wrigglers. Earthworms contain 50% to 60% crude protein, making them a premium food source for growing healthy fish. They also contain fats and amino acids that fish need. For step 3 is the aquaculture. After the organic fish feed is fed to the fish digest them inside their bodies and ingest feces. Fish feces are natural organic fertilizers rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, carbon, and micronutrients like iron and zinc. For step 4 is agriculture. A low-energy pump moves this nutrient-rich water with fish feces up to crop level. The plants absorb this organic fertilizer to grow effectively, scrubbing the water clean before it's cycled back down to the fish. The excess water in the soil will also be returned to the fish pond. So how often does this low-energy pump move the feces? The low-energy pump will not be functioning non-stop. Instead, it repeats continuously, so 15 to 30 minutes on and 30 to 45 minutes off, meaning that there will be one pumping cycle every hour. This rhythm alternates between nutrient delivery and oxygen replenishment to plant roots. Step 5 is the usage of crops. So there's 2 usages of crops. The first usage is growing crops. So growing crops continuously absorb localized carbon dioxide via photosynthesis. So as in fully grown crops, they can be used in 2 ways: as products to be sold at the market, and the remaining crops or crops remains can be used as fuel crops to produce biofuel, producing fuel for engines and vehicles. So a very special add-on to our Eco-pulse is the nutrient optimizer. The nutrient optimizer is a 4-in-1 detector, including a pH sensor, dissolved oxygen sensor, and a nitrate sensor and a phosphorus sensor. The pH sensor ensures the water of the pond is in suitable pH for growth of the fish. The oxygen sensor ensures the oxygen level is enough for fish growth, also to show whether the excess algae growth will pose a threat towards fish growth. As in nitrate and phosphorus sensors, since nitrate and phosphorus are sources of nutrients for algae growth, a nitrate and phosphorus sensor ensures the nutrients are in suitable amounts but not in excess, so that excessive algae growth can be prevented. So connecting to the nutrient optimizer is a mobile app user interface. So in here you can see a mobile app user interface model. So if the pH, oxygen content, nitrate, and phosphorus concentrations is in extreme, and that the living environment is not suitable for fish, or it's too much nutrients for the algae, there will be a notification to the farmer's mobile app to remind them to regulate the levels. As you can see, there are 4 main pages. The first one is the home page. There's some basic information of whether the water is unsuitable, not suitable, or a cautious level of nutrients. And for the second page is a crop bot. So it's an AI bot that helps farmers to answer the questions and stuff. And so for the notification centers, it's for some emergency notifications as shown above. And so for the last page is the user interface, and it's for the basic informations of the farmers. We would also like you to acknowledge the calculation of our effectiveness. So the first is turning food waste into methane. So as methane produced by food waste is 21 times stronger and worse than carbon dioxide, by recycling for about 1 ton of food waste every day, Eco-pulse can stop 21,000 kg of greenhouse gases from polluting Hong Kong's atmosphere. And as in for the amount of food waste earthworms can consume, the earthworms can eat around 50% of their body weight every day and are a healthy meal of the fishes. If there are around 200 kg of these worms, they can consume around 100 kg of food waste, as which they consist of 50% to 60% crude protein. 60 kg of these wastes are turned into high-protein food for the fishes to consume. As in the energy saved by the water pump, instead of running 24 hours non-stop, our low-energy water pump only works for 6 to 12 hours. This reduces electricity used by 50% to 70%. And as for zero pollution part, the sensor locks the nutrients inside the system so they cannot leak out. The crops at the top soaks up all the waste produced by the fishes, and they leave 0% of the dirty water there. So the total carbon saved every year will be 90,000 tons. At last, we would like to talk about the feasibility and the application. As in the feasibility, the hardware level relies on standard, reliable, and commercially available components. Earthworms are highly adapted and self-regulating organisms, and unlike chemical or mechanical food waste recycling methods, upcycling food waste into earthworms eliminates the highest operation costs of using commercial fish feed. Standard smart recycling bins require costly operation and maintenance contract renewals. Eco-pulse generates its own inputs, creating an internal economic loop that offsets its minimal maintenance costs. So as an application, rural farmland and fish farms in new territories are very suitable for our eco-pulse. Reasons are sunlight is abundant and can benefit the photosynthesis of growing crops. And fish ponds and farmland are already present in those areas. Also, farmers can directly access to the eco-pulse easily. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you.